Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Pit with another episode of What Are We Eating? Several years ago, I reviewed the Pierre half-pound meatloaf sandwich with ketchup, and I labeled it impressive because it was. Now hold on now, don't read too far into that, because it was about as impressive as a highly processed 4-meat slurry concocted patty that was full of TVP that could be. Now I know what you're thinking. That doesn't make any sense. Was it good or was it not? Yes, it was good for what it was. A processed, cheap meatloaf sandwich. So I was happy when I was strolling through one of my local grocery stores the other day and found the Pierre toasted sweet barbecue pulled pork melt, which consists of barbecue sauce with pulled pork with American cheese on toast, which weighs in at 5 ounces and costs $4.59. And the Pierre toasted cheesy bacon melt, which consists of American cheese, bacon, and pasteurized processed Swiss cheese on toast, which weighs in at 4 ounces and costs $4.59. So let's try Pierre's toasted sweet barbecue pulled pork melt first. Here's the long list of ingredients. Now I gotta snicker a little bit if you think that's a long list of ingredients. Here's the second page of the list of ingredients. How can that many ingredients go into a toasted sandwich? Is this even food anymore? This is absolutely ridiculous. The whole sweet barbecue pulled pork sandwich has 430 calories, 26 grams of total fat, 9 grams of saturated fat, a half a gram of trans fat, 35 milligrams of cholesterol, 1,080 milligrams of sodium, 37 grams of carbohydrates, 2 grams of fiber, 10 grams of sugars, and 13 grams of protein. Now the only heating instructions on the bag was to heat for 45 seconds on high, which we're going to do, but we're also going to do it the right way and toast our sandwiches because nobody likes microwave bread. It's chewy and it's tough. So we have our skillet over medium-high heat and we're adding our sandwich directly to the pan with no butter. And the reason I didn't add butter is because I wanted to taste the sandwich as is without adding anything to it. Because if we added butter, we would know it would taste better automatically because butter makes everything better. So we toasted our sandwich for about 2.5 minutes, flipping every 30 seconds until the bread was nice and toasty and the cheese was melted and the meat was thoroughly heated through. So here's both of the Pierre's sweet barbecue pulled pork and cheese sandwiches. One was microwaved for 45 seconds and the other was cooked in a skillet for 2.5 minutes, flipping every 30 seconds. So we cut each sandwich in half so you, the people, can see what's inside. So we tried the microwave sandwich first because it was the suggested method. And I guess it looks like what it says it is, a cheesy pulled pork sandwich. So into the old pie hole and down the gullet it went. Of course, the very first thing I noticed was the chewy, tough bread. Why would you microwave a sandwich? But then the second thing I noticed was the very overly sweet sauce in the pulled pork. And then I realized that they did put a healthy serving of the pulled pork in the sandwich. But that was unfortunate. Because once your glucose levels return to normal and you scrape the sweetness off your tongue with your teeth, I got an overwhelming flavor of bitterness and saltiness from the pulled pork. I'm not sure if the pork was bad or it was because of the 750 ingredients in it. You would think that the cheese and the bread would have helped cover up that flavor. So I'm giving the microwave version a 0 out of 10. And the sandwich was cooked in the skillet, tasted identical to the one that was cooked in the microwave. With the exception, the bread had a little bit of texture. It's just overly sweet and has a bitter, salty flavor to it. If I scored it half a point, I'd give it a 0.5, but I don't do that. So I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10 only because the bread was crispy. There's not a chance I would even spend $1 on these sandwiches, much less $4.59. This has gotta be one of the biggest rip-offs food-wise there is. Now let's try the Pierre toasted cheesy bacon melt and see if it's any better. Here's the list of ingredients, and this time it's only one page. The cheesy bacon melt sandwich has 440 calories, 29 grams of total fat, 11 grams of saturated fat, 1 gram of trans fat, 50 milligrams of cholesterol, 1,140 milligrams of sodium, 27 grams of carbohydrates, 1 gram of fiber, 2 grams of sugars, and 16 grams of protein. Now again, we're cooking one in the microwave in the bag for 45 seconds and the other one in the skillet for 2.5 minutes, flipping every 30 seconds. So once again, our heat is on medium high and we're adding our sandwich. And you can see it's got a big piece of bacon, or maybe it's a couple pieces of bacon that's been flattened out, but all the cheese is on one side. But I think it might have gotten mixed up in the bag. So we adjusted the cheese so there's cheese on the top and on the bottom. And now here's our cheesy bacon melt after cooking on medium-high heat for 2.5 minutes, flipping after every 30 seconds. One's been microwaved and one's been cooked in a skillet. So we cut them in half again for you, the people's viewing pleasure. So we grabbed the microwave version first. And as you can see on this one, since it was still in the bag when we cooked it, all the cheese was supposed to be on one side. That doesn't make any sense to me, but it is what it is. So into the old pie hole and down the gullet it went. And it wasn't horrible, besides the bread being tough and chewy and the cheese being really gloppy with a total of 4 pieces of cheese that didn't thoroughly melt. The cheese tasted like you were chewing on one of these without the tasty drink. And the bacon was really mild. It was more like ham than it was bacon, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is called a cheesy bacon melt. So next we tried the cheesy bacon melt that was cooked in a skillet. And as you can see, this cheese didn't melt very well either. I think there was just too much cheese.
Now, Larry, there's no such thing as too much cheese. You can have cheese on top of cheese.
Scooter, I think a lot of people are going to agree with you on that one. Now again, neither the microwave version or the skillet version were any good or worth the electricity to heat them up. And I'm giving both versions of the cheesy bacon melts a 1 out of 10. Now let's put things into perspective here for a minute so I can show you what a rip-off these sandwiches are. Put convenience aside, these sandwiches are terrible, especially for the price. I know prices have gone up since then, but 4 years ago, I made 9 bologna, egg, and cheese sandwiches for a total of $3.51, or 39 cents a sandwich. Sure, today they're probably closer to 80 cents a sandwich, maybe a little bit higher, but still, it's a lot better than paying $4.59 for garbage. Thank you all very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with your family and friends, and your enemies, and I'll see you soon.